I also would say that if you listen to some of Villz's other songs, like "Pray for Me," which is one of the ones that we did play. I like that song because it's actually, I think, a positive song because he's actually asking for his mother to pray for him. He talks about his mother praying for him, but he talks about other things, and I think it's understanding the music enough sometimes to get past some of those words to say where's the story going. So sometimes I focus on the positivity in the words. So there's some I like "Pray for Me." I also like "The Truth." I also like where he talks about his mother and his agony. That's a recognition that when being on the streets, there is an agony that you have caused. And I think young people would relate to that as well. Yes, those other words, I think with time, speaking to them, they can perhaps not use those words so often. But I think it's to draw people in and then to understand where they're going.
Yeah, it is part of that. It is part of that to draw people in. Like I said, you've got to package it a certain way for people to listen. But at the same time, I'm coming
So
from
when you say package it, is that just it's about money?
not necessarily. Nah, packaging it in meaning is someone going to listen to this?
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, nobody likes being told what to do. Nobody, especially young people and consume. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like to be told. No one likes to be told, oh, stop smoking. A smoker doesn't want to be told to stop smoking. That's not they want to be told in a certain way. So you have to tell them a certain way for them to understand. And like where I'm coming from a very real place. So it's kind of for someone to tell me, don't use these languages, don't say this, don't say that. That's all I've seen for 10 years, and that's what I've been programmed with. And luckily for me, I've
So
had.
who programmed you? What do you mean programmed? By who?
So it's like when you go out, like for example, yeah,
Mm.
East London, Newham, Stratford.
Mm.
This area it's riddled with negativity
Right.
to an extent. So there's drugs, there's violence, there's all these type of things going on. When you go outside and you see these things, you're subconsciously being programmed by these things. You're being influenced by these things.
The fact that you're being programmed means that you don't have to be programmed anymore.
No. But the thing is, I'm not programmed anymore. But I'm saying that
Okay.
at that age,
Sure.
you don't even know what program means. You don't even know why you're aspiring to be like these kind of people or influence. You know what I mean? You don't understand what's happening. You don't understand what the environment is doing to you until you get older. Some people never understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a very complex situation. It's easy to say, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do this? But environment is everything, innit?
And also, like you're 24, if you've been influenced it from 10 years, that's from when you were 14.
Before that.
So,
I would say
you're all the same age as my youngest son. And when my kids were growing up, my daughter's 32. When my children were growing up, I used to say to them, turn that rap music off. That's all they used to hear. Turn it off. It's not of the Lord. So I got told the same thing for different music when I was growing up. And my parents it was more about, I think it was, the music it's amazing poetry. Of course it is. And the narratives are fantastic because they make you feel sad, they make you feel emotion. I suppose what I would like to see now with our talent is for rap music to take a different pathway, because I think a lot of people grow out of rap music. I think it's something you listen to when you're younger, when you are trying to find yourself. I loved NWA. This is a long time ago. This is 30 years ago. I listened to NWA, and it was political. It was amazing. It enlightened us. And guess what? They got rid of it because it was powerful. People started to listen to that music. They would have started to march on the street. So they got rid of it. They were taken away. And I loved Snoop Doggy Dogg. I loved him. He was amazing. His music and his rap. It was so funny. But my mum would never let me play it. I wasn't because it was rude. But like you say, it's for this location. I get it. I get what you're saying.
It's like movies. You can't really imagine a world with just positive movies. There's both in it. There's always gonna be both.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Michelle, for that question. Thank you. Those questions. Anyone else got a question, please? Who?
Fabio.
Fabio. Yes, Fabio. If you unmute and then answer a question, Fabio. You need to unmute Fabio. Yeah, we can't hear you. Fabio, unmute. We can't hear you, Fabio.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you prefer going to the studio and doing doing freestyles, or like do you prefer going to the studio and doing like written songs?
Yeah, I write in it. I don't just go to the studio and free.
Yeah,
Music is it's a story.
but you're like your black box and your congregation freestyles. Like,
But I
do you
wrote it
enjoy doing?
in my head in it.
Oh, you wrote them, yeah?
It was in my head. Yeah, it was in my head.
Oh, okay, then.
I knew.
Compared to like the truth and that
Yeah.
you prefer doing the written, yeah,
Oh, you
the
mean?
written,
I get what you mean now. So yeah, you mean like
yeah,
freestyles or actual songs and videos?
yeah.
You know, the freestyles are cool, but if you want to progress as an artist, you got to make proper videos and songs, and you know, you got to put together things. You can't just do freestyles.
Yeah.
That's why I do.
Okay, then. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Fabio. Thank you. Anybody else got a question or something you'd like to say? If you just unmute, please put your video on and let's hear your question. Or even if you don't want to put your video on, but put your hand up and let us know that you've got a question for Villz.
Yeah, Bonnie, unmute yourself.
Okay, Bonnie, yes. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. Yeah, question for Villz. Thanks very much. Really informative. I think on the back of what Michelle was saying, I don't know whether earlier the reception wasn't that great. You said something, or you mentioned something in terms of positivity. I don't know whether you said in terms of young people and not necessarily looking at positivity, but I guess in terms of, as you're saying, their background and what have you, what they're experiencing. But then in terms of, because clearly it's a process, because I don't want us to be too naive and just say, okay, we know it's not just overnight, but there's this change, because I think that's what Michelle is also getting at. I understand exactly what she's saying, but where do you think we are in this process of changing that narrative?
Changing.
Yeah, the narrative in terms of, as Michelle was saying, I mean, a lot of the, what young people are rapping about, talking about their experiences, in terms of basically, can I say, coming out? Yeah. Yeah, how far would you say? It's a bit hard to quantify it. Are we in, because I know it's a process, clearly it's a process, but
changing. In terms of like the music changing from positive to negative, is that what you're saying?
From negative.
Even that, and I mean the mindset. Yeah, because I mean what you were singing about was quite emotive, but I'm sure a lot of the lyrics, I think as we said some months ago, maybe some sort of translation would be good. But yeah, in terms of that change, and also how things are on the street. Yeah, where are we in terms of that process? Are things getting worse?
Yeah, of course.
Lord.
Because obviously there's more music, there's more going on. There's social media. See, like the media, social media, like now there's more influence. So before, when I was growing up, the influence was always there, but it wasn't. There was no Instagram. There was no Snapchat and Twitter and all of these things. You know what I mean? So the influence was limited. There was still negative influence, but it was what you saw in your area and maybe in certain other areas or heard certain things. Now you could be from anywhere and see it now and be influenced by it, innit? And once you're influenced by it, it can cause you to make certain decisions and make certain kind of music and make, do certain things. But at the same time, it's a catch-22 because now you have there's platforms to shed light on certain things, but it's a very complex thing because it's a pandemic, isn't it? To a certain extent, it's not something you go in and clean up. It's like this is something so deep rooted. It's never gonna be a thing where everything is how we want it to be or hope it to be.
Mm.
You know, make the adjustments and save as many people as you can save, because this is not something that is new. You know, this is not something that is new. It's gang culture is very deep rooted. You know, it's very, very deep rooted from decades ago. It's just evolved and it's moving around in different forms. So it's a very difficult process because, like I said, not everybody. It's a mindset, and that mindset. It's easy to get the negative mindset. It's rare you have somebody that has a positive mindset that can influence people. And even when you do, like I said, like when you come from these environments, positivity is not respected. It's not respected. So if it's not respected, nobody's listening to it. You know what I mean? So it's a very, it's very, it's hard. I don't have all the answers, but because I come from it, I understand how this thing works. It's not as simple as changing the music or doing this or doing that. It's deep rooted, you know. So it's a difficult process, but it has got worse in terms of like being able to see more things.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
That's a heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy, but like
That's heavy. It is.
the truth is like you have to understand how many gangs is there in UK, how many gang members is there in UK, and if you put that you do the ratio to how many people are trying to get people off of that, it don't match up. You know, you're outnumbered, and that's, you know what I mean, you're outnumbered. And even if you do have enough people to come and speak to these people, what messaging are you coming with? What are you saying? What are you doing? Because no one wants, when you're in those environments, no one wants to hear, oh, you need to come off the road. No one wants to hear that. I'm just being honest. Nobody wants to hear that, you know, because it ain't as simple as that. Like I said, you don't just press a button and you come off it. It doesn't work like that. So more needs to be done, but at the same time, it's hard for more to be done because there's a lack of opportunities.
No.
Is that opportunities? What else needs to be in place to get young people to come off the roads?
Everything. Remember, everything boils down to your environment and the like your what kind of finances, you know, upbringing. So remember, sometimes it's not even stemming from. It might be stemming from home. So every situation is different. So every case you're going to approach is going to be different. It's not going to all be the same because everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like you just said with your son, he was saying about every time you leave in the morning, you come back. With me, it was a different situation. So it's like how those two individuals will be removed from those situations. It'll have to be a different approach. You know what I mean? But first and foremost, you have to understand these people that are involved in this. You have to understand where their mind's at. Like I said, you can't really, no disrespect, but if someone's a Muslim, a strong Muslim, you can't tell them to eat pork. And that's how it is on the roads. You can't tell someone that is a religious gang member you need to come off of it. That's almost disrespectful to him. You know what I mean? So just, yeah, man, it's very complex. But I haven't got all the answers, you know. I can just give insight.
No, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else that's got their hand up? Somebody?
Yeah.
iPhone, who's that?
It's me, Kat. Hi, Margaret.
Yeah, hi.
Hiya, hello. Sorry, I missed the first bit of your talk, but did you say that you used to be in a gang?
Yeah, I was raised in gang culture for a long.
Okay, I just wondered what sort of message you're hoping to send through your music, if that is your intention, or is there other things that you're doing outside of your music to kind of entice people or educate people about the negativities of being involved in that type of culture?
With my music, like I said, I was saying earlier, my music is a reflection of me and my story, but my story and my message isn't to stay there. Like I said, if you listen to my music carefully and you listen to what I'm saying. I'm telling people this is what I went through, this is what I saw, but this is where I'm trying to go, and this is what it's like being out there.
Yeah.
But it's not in a way of, it's not preachy. I'm not doing it in a way where I'm not preaching. I'm saying my story, but my story, if you come from that lifestyle and you hear me, it's gonna make you think, and it's gonna make you think, is this the right thing? Certain things. But in terms of outside, I'm still like I said, when it comes to this gang culture thing, I'm still trying to escape, because like I said, you don't choose when you leave. It doesn't work like that, because you have certain people that are in certain areas, that they associate you with who you was. They're not associating you with where you're trying to go. So those people naturally, no matter what, you might change, but there's people that don't change. So I'm still trying to make the transition of removing myself from that, in it, because it don't just work like that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Kat. Has anyone else got any questions for Villz? What would you say to parents? I've asked you this question before, and I think there are a few parents on here who desperately want to get their child away from the roads. What can they do positively to turn their child around or remove their child from the situation? What can they do?
Move. If you're depending on what age your child's at, you can move out the area, but you just need to make sure you know what area you're moving into, because this thing is global now. This is not something that like I said, when I was growing up, it was a bit more different, because you had to. Not anyone can be involved on the roads. Like, it didn't work like that, But now it's more of a thing of, you can go anywhere. You can go to the nicest area, and there's a group of kids there trying to form some sort of gang, and do certain things. So I would just say the environment's everything. Where that child grows up, what they see, what they do is everything, because it's important. No matter what you're doing inside the house, you are not the only person that has influence over your child. If anything, other things have more influence than you, because they get used to you, and that's just how it goes. It's like, it's like you're their mum and dad, isn't it? So it's like they love you, look up to you, but at the same time, outside sources can always influence your child heavily, more than you. So it's just about controlling their environment and what they, controlling that environment. That's what I would say.
Okay, excellent. Great. Is there anyone else on that hasn't spoken that would like to ask Villz a question? We've got another 8 minutes before we've been in hot seat for a long time. Anybody else got any question for Villz, or something they'd like to say, or have they gleaned anything from today that they'll put in practice for future? Yeah. Okay, Carlton, would you like to say anything?
No.
Okay. Well, Villz, have you got any last words?
Yeah, I would say,
Great.
when you hear from me, when I speak, it's not gonna be, it's real, innit? So I don't want anyone to feel like let's say.
Another gang or something?
Yeah, they do tend to go back to their environments, but that's why it's about when you intercept. Because I know if my mum removed me from the environment at a certain, she could have never done it. I don't blame my mum, because she didn't see what was happening. It was too late, by the time she would have maybe even tried to remove me from it, it would have been too late. But it's about when. It's about when they're removed from that environment. That's why you have to intercept early. You have to intercept very early, because once it gets to a certain stage, it becomes very difficult.
Can I ask you a question before you go? I'm an educator. I'm a school teacher, a secondary school teacher. How can I stop children, young children, from getting tangled up, so that you say things like that it's really hard? You said a comment earlier. Nobody needs to hear "come off the road." How do I cope with that? What do I do? I've raised my children, and I have to say, I was so protective of my own kids. There's gangs where I live. There are 4 gangs. They've got postcodes attached to them, and it's a town. How do I, as a teacher, how do I detect that it's happening and stop it?
When you say as a teacher, what do you mean, like other students? Is that what you
I'm
mean?
in a school. I'm in a secondary school. How do I look out for my own kids, my own community? I mean, you mentioned earlier, I don't know if you said that mixed race wasn't black. I don't know what you meant by that, but
No.
I'm black. Okay, and when it comes to that, I'm black. So
Okay, what I meant by that, I meant like some people wouldn't class Drake as being black because he's mixed race.
well,
I
yeah,
don't.
maybe
I got
okay.
a mixed race son. You know what I mean? So,
Not your fault.
but what I was saying, in terms of students, you need to understand this. Okay, you said a couple of things. So, detecting it, you're gonna see certain things in people's behaviors, isn't it? So you're gonna be able to see in behaviors, just listening in, paying attention, isn't it? You
When you
pay.
said about parents, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's only so much. Parents used to have much more control. Now, I would say, as a parent, you probably have 40% control of your kid. I reckon 60% is the rest of the world, because kids have access to loads of things now that we didn't have access to. So you're absolutely right when you say that. And I'm asking you, help me. How do I stop young people? How do I intervene? What do I do? Give me some tips.
You need
Because
to.
your music is passionate and it tells a story, but I want to make sure kids don't have to tell your story. It's hard. I don't want them to have to tell that story.
You need, first and foremost, you need to understand this thing. You know,
Sure.
you have to
Yeah.
understand it, and for you to understand it, you need to speak to people that are in it, been in it, come away from it. You need to understand it first, and once you understand it, then you'll be able to detect certain signs. Then you'll be able to have a conversation with someone in that, and you know what, I understand where you're coming from. Why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Or why don't you do this? You know? Because like I said, you gotta speak from a certain perspective when you're trying to speak to these people, because it's not it's
They
not
might think I'm patronising them. They think, well, who the hell are you to tell us? Shut up. What do you know? If you're saying your mum didn't even spot it, mind you, parents, mums don't always spot things, because lots of, and this is, I've studied quite a lot of this, okay? Caribbean, specifically Caribbean mothers, and some African mothers as well, they see only the good in their children. They're very protective and very positive, and they don't actually deal with things. Like I've found in schools, parents are absolutely astonished that their children will behave a certain way at school, because their children show them a different side at home, and that's all kids anyway. So you said that I think you mentioned that your mum maybe didn't even notice. Is that true? So how the hell would a school teacher notice if your mum is? Do you know what I mean? What hope do I have?
people. No. But you're gonna see more though, innit? Because
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and also I'm sniffing for it as a teacher.
you have to understand when you're out, like when the kids outside in school or they're outside or whatever, there's a certain personality that they're putting off that they're not putting off at home, innit? So you'll see more. You'll see more. You better see more still. So you better detect more.
And what will they see? What they should, because you said certain signs.
I'm just trying to That's why I say you have to understand it first, innit? Because whatever way I tell you, it's like it's kind of like, how can I put it? It's blurred, because it's like, unless you understand how a gang member moves or how he thinks or how he conducts himself or whatever, it's going to be hard for you to understand. But you can see in it, like when you pay attention and you listen to conversations and listen to what's going on, you pay attention, you will see. Because my teachers saw a lot, you know, they saw a lot.
Okay.
Well, as an English teacher, I think you're amazing at English.
Yeah,
Thank
I got B's.
Awesome. You got a what?
B's, 2 B's.
B's. You've been A star. You're awesome.
I'm paying attention though.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. And I love the color. I like your favorite color. My favorite color is orange.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
You look gorgeous. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's lovely.
Someone
Thank you
said-
for that, Michelle.
Someone said, Villz, thank you for sharing, very insightful, open, and as a parent, even if it's noticed, it's hard to change what they engage in outside the home. I hear you and understand. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think there was another comment up there. Did you see the other one before that?
What was that one?
Yeah. So we've only got a minute left. So if there is no further questions, I think we're going to leave Villz to do the final words. Like you were starting and then you kind of stopped. Yeah, good on.
Yeah, obviously, is there anything else or no?
How do you scroll up?
Did we do all of it?
Yeah.
We're just checking the comments before we finally go. Yeah, and thank you for setting this up. Okay, that's very insightful. Go on.
Yeah. For me, I just want people to understand that when you hear from me, you may feel like it's very raw and it's very. I speak in a way where you might interpret it like there's no hope, but the thing is, it's because I'm giving it to you as real as possible. You know, like I'm not gonna come and say, "Oh, you can do this," and "Oh, the kids need to stop." No, because I really understand it. I really come from it. I'm not someone that is just speaking from an outside perspective, and I understand how difficult it is to change people and change these people that are coming from these environments. It's not easy. So a lot of the time it's going to sound hopeless in terms of like how I'm speaking and what I'm actually saying, because it is, but at the same time it's like it's a work in progress, isn't it? Like I said, it's like a pandemic, it's a virus. It's not something you can just press a button and it's going to end. It's a process, and not everyone's going to make it, but you can save a lot of people if you understand the right things, innit? And you understand how to approach the situation. So yeah, that's what I would really just say about everything I'm saying, because I know how I am, and I know I'm just honest, you know. I just keep it real. So, and sometimes keeping it real, it may come across very raw, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to just break that down, you know. Just have hope, because there's hope, but at the same time, it's not what a lot of people think in terms of like, oh, let's do a charity, or let's do a workshop, or let's do a football match. It's very, very. There's things you need to understand to penetrate these youth. There's things you need to understand, innit? And that's what I would say.
Do you think You Good could help?
Yeah, of course. It could help. Of course it helped. Like, You Good could help because it's therapy and you're speaking to the kids. But like I'm saying, it's getting them there, innit? Getting them there, because this is not man, this is something. It's a serious thing, man. It's not an overnight thing. It's deep rooted. Very deep rooted.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for coming. Hopefully you'll come again. As you know, Villz is our patron, so he will be around. But our next Zoom series is in 2 weeks' time when we have another speaker. So thank you very much, and God bless, and bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Fabio, if you would stay on, that would be great.
Sorry?
No, it's just Fabio, if he could stay on, that would be great. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Caris. Thank you.
Margaret, you sure that mum that you were talking about wasn't Angela, who said that
Yeah, it was
I'm
Angela.
her son's friend and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Pastor Margaret.
Yes, hi, Yemi.
We'll catch up later then.
Yes, we will. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Villz. Thanks, Carlton.
Great.